of Powerful Badass Humans. I'm here with the lovely Morgan Brady, a lovely lady I've known for quite a while now. And first and foremost, we'd love to hear, well, first and foremost, thanks for making the time to be here. And we'd love to hear a little bit about you.
Absolutely. I've tried this year to not talk about my job, or talk about work first when describing myself or who I am. My name is Morgan. I'm a New Yorker, and I'm very happy to be back home in New York. I lived in Boston for 5 years, and I recently came back, and it feels really good to be here. I'm a connector. I love bringing people together through events and community. And to that end, recently co-founded a company called Backs, where we support founders that are raising capital.
Beautiful. So getting right to it, what has been your biggest failure up until now?
Ooh, the biggest failure.
And tell me the real shit.
My biggest failure. I'd say, I don't know if it's a failure, but it's something that I probably maybe wish I could have changed. I'd say letting my emotions get the best of me in certain professional aspects. Work is very personal for me, and I actually think that's one of my attributes. It's something that makes me great at what I do, but there's a time and a place for it as well. And I think there's probably been some times where I've taken things personally when I shouldn't have, or I've let my competitive edge, which is very emotional, get the best of me. And I don't want to say it's a regret or a failure, but that's the thing that comes to mind. I think, especially starting a business, looking and seeing who's building what, who's doing what, in the press, on social media, I let that, so maybe it's not even my emotions. I think I spend too much time thinking about what other people are doing, and I should be using that energy building. I mean, I am, but there's definitely been days or even longer periods of time where I let one person's opinion that doesn't think what we're doing is great, or, just it doesn't align for them. I let that defeat me to the point of it's debilitating. You kind of get in that analysis paralysis. But I think that is an emotional thing. So hopefully tied that all together. So letting my emotions get the best of me, as opposed to staying focused and committed to what we're building. Whether it's someone's opinion, something that I see out there in the press or media, and comparing myself and our business to something else somebody is doing.
Yeah. A common.
So early on, I mean, it's happening every day in small little bits, but you try to remain focused to being committed to our mission, which is helping founders take the pain out of fundraising. And there's different accelerators and programs and things out there. But there are some things that are doing that make us great and sets us apart, and you just have to stay focused on that. But I'd say sometimes my emotions definitely get the best of me.
I love the awareness that you have, though, that you're saying you let it, right? Yeah, that's huge, because a lot of people would just be like, oh my God, this is what's happening, but you realize it's a choice.
Sure. And one thing, I've done a lot of work in the last year and a half, doing the work.
Yes.
Development coaches, and language is such a big
yes.
thing. So even that, I try to be aware of, this isn't happening to me, but I'm experiencing this. This is not me, but I'm experiencing this sense of competitiveness or lesser than. So I think language and how even telling your own story is super important.
I couldn't agree more. Yeah, I mean, as a coach, the number one thing that I coach my clients on is language. How do you relate to yourself, and how do you speak out there? It's so crucial. Mm-hmm. I love that. You're putting yourself in an empowered consciousness as opposed to a victim consciousness.
I try, but I think, again, with the emotions coming into play and experiencing all of that, I also am susceptible to being aware all the time, and then therefore being in my head all the time. You know what I mean?
So on that note, on that note, how do you speak to yourself / relate to yourself?
Ooh, good question. How do I speak to myself? The past couple of weeks and months, definitely not well. I mean, it could be better.
Okay.
Definitely experiencing a lot of imposter syndrome. So your first question, not that I hesitated to answer, but what's been really coming to the surface for me in the last 6 months, co-founding a technology company, a financial company, as a woman, as a first-time founder, it's not so much the fear of failure. I have a great support system. So worst case scenario, it doesn't work out. I'm fully committed to it, but if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. That's okay. And what's really been coming to the surface for me is this sense of being found out. Like being found out that like I don't want to say worthy. Worthy is not the right word. It's like, who am I to do this? Like, what have I done? Like, what makes me
Deserving
or good enough to be doing this?
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing. And also too, like our clients also have dreams and goals, and we're setting out to help them and make their lives easier and help them build their businesses. And I don't want to be wrong. I don't ever want to be wrong or give, not the right advice. So that pressure of like, well, who is she to, be doing this or helping entrepreneurs raise capital, which I think for a very long time has been a very serious thing, or people in the industry take it very seriously. So it's not so much the fear of failure, but it's definitely more imposter syndrome that I've been.
I totally hear that. And that's really, really common, especially with women.
Mm-hmm.
So common. They say 90% of my clients are in that world of either I'm not worthy, I don't deserve it, or some type of story that's running in the background.
Right.
And
I'm so grateful for you for doing this, and why I committed to doing it is because I have found that when I am telling my story, or when I'm in the trenches with our clients and our members and doing the work with them, that's when I feel most inspired, and I feel most when I'm in action.
Yeah.
Is when all of that anxiety and all of that craziness in your head goes away. So when I saw this opportunity, I was like, yes, let me talk to Cam. I'm not going to think about who's going to see it later, but I know that sharing my story with her will be therapeutic in some aspects. And also the same thing, like I'm committed every day to making sure that I'm touching base with our customers and learning about how I can help them and how we can support them, because that takes away all of the anxiety of what we're building and how it's perceived and people's opinions. It's like, no, if I can get on the phone or messenger or email with my customers every day, that makes everything feel better.
Yeah. So that's a great way to kind of deal with what's going on in here, is to get out there.
Yeah. Being in action. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I those threats, like there's so many things to do, especially in the early stages of a company where you're not forward facing and talking to your customers. And I think I spent the first 2 to 3 months of all of this, my brain was in work mode, but I was just thinking. I wasn't outputting, I wasn't producing. And that was a hard part for me too, especially with my 2 co-founders. I made the story up in my head that I wasn't doing enough, that I wasn't, producing, given that they knew me in a professional capacity before, that I wasn't delivering. But no one said that to me. No one ever had the discussion with me. It was all in my head.
Yeah. Yeah. It's almost always all in our head. So if we're going to tell ourselves a story, we might as well tell ourselves an empowering one.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Awesome. So, then kind of on that same note-ish, what would be the most significant mental hurdle that you struggle with? Is it the worthiness or deserving thing, you think, or is there something else?
No, I definitely think right now, I want to say in this moment, right now, this feels great, but in the early stages of co-founding a technology company, it's definitely, who is she, or like, who does she think she is to be doing that?
Yeah.
I don't want to be this sense of, I don't want to be found out.
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you. Again, very common. So what's the biggest challenge that you're dealing with, not in here, but out there? And how are you relating yourself to during it? Did that make sense?
Yeah, the challenge that we're facing in our business, or like that challenge that I'm realistically facing on a day-to-day basis? Like myself or for the business?
Whichever one you think is more powerful.
For the business, I don't think this is the more powerful one, but it's more prevalent, and people will probably identify with what I'm talking about. That investors, so I didn't really get into the nitty gritty of what we do, but I can a little bit if you want me to. But the biggest challenge from our business, I think, is that generally startup investors don't love the idea of the founders they're potentially investing in working with a broker. Okay. And even though at our core, we're a tech-enabled investment bank, we're not a traditional investment bank. We are giving entrepreneurs the tools, resources, coaching, skill set that they need to learn how to fundraise and become the most investable company possible. So I think it's that outside perspective of some investors don't like the idea of a traditional broker, though we're not. So it's, in addition to supporting our clients on a day-to-day basis, it's also reshaping that story and hammering home our message of, that our number one goal is to take the pain out of the fundraising process, take the guesswork out of the fundraising process, because there are so many amazing entrepreneurs out there that have domain expertise and are capable of building great companies, but that doesn't mean they know how to fundraise or are well networked enough to. And that's where we step in. So I think that's probably the number one hurdle for the business and like telling our story. And then personally, my biggest challenge, as I mentioned, I moved back home and I literally, I'm living at home.
Yeah.
So I'm so grateful for that. And that I have two homes that I can go to, my mom and my dad's, and I have that support. And my intention wasn't to be at home this long, but as everything unfolded and now starting the business, it is amazing not to have that pressure of rent or whatever it is. But I did just turn 30, and not having my own space is a challenge sometimes. So I'm actually right now at my friend's apartment in Queens, in Long Island City, apartment sitting, while she and her boyfriend are traveling. And it's this beautiful apartment. And so that's definitely a challenge, being 30 and living at home, even though I am so grateful that I have that support system, because I wouldn't be able to do what I'm doing now without that support. So it's that weird place, right? It's like you're grateful, you're like, I want my own apartment.
I hear you. No, totally. I hear you.
I was living alone, for however many years. So that's a big transition to come back and be at home. But I mean, otherwise it's been great. It's just thinking ahead to, my own place in the next couple of weeks or months. But I'd say that's my biggest personal challenge currently.
Got it. Yeah. And so kind of moving to the women thing, the women conversation. Yeah. So I would love to know your thoughts. And I kind of alluded to this a little bit. Part of the inspiration behind me starting this is I'm really sick and tired of seeing women competing with women, and at a time where we're really needing to collaborate, and it's just pissing me off. So I would love to hear what your thoughts are and what your experience is in regard to women empowering women and women competing with women.
Yeah, so I'm very lucky. I've all in all have had a positive experience in my career and within my friendships of building a tribe of women that's supportive and collaborative. Awesome. For each other's hype women. And I have seen my friends and colleagues experience this for sure, that competitiveness or that backstabbing pettiness. And there's one story I can probably speak to. It's not my own story, but I saw it happen to a friend. But I, for one, have had a pretty positive experience, which I'm very grateful for. But as I've gotten older, I'm also very conscious of the people and the women that I spend time with.
Good. Yeah.
Extremely. So I guess I do have a little bit of a guard up in that sense, or because I am aware of the problem. But personally, I have amazing women around me, from my mom and my nana to my aunt to my best friends, and people like you, people that I know through work or whatever, like Lisa Song and Dara Brustein and Beck Bamberger and Andrea Lake, like all of these amazing women that, when I was working at YAC, and you were all goddesses, like, to me, and like doing amazing things, and you've done nothing but help support and give back. So my experience has been pretty great. And I would say, not that you asked for this, but like one piece of advice I would give to—
be my next question, so please go ahead.
And this is not just for women, this is for anybody. If you think something of someone that's positive, a compliment, or you see something in them, tell them. Like, share that with them. It's life-changing. Like, even if it's, maybe it doesn't, it just could be the way they carry themselves day to day. Like, if you see something in somebody, like, share that with them, whether you're a man or a woman. I think in the context of this conversation, it's definitely super important. Like, shout your friends out on your Instagram story. I don't know, like, go on your friend's podcast and support what they're doing. Plug them in your newsletter, or like invite them to this cool like cocktail party or dinner that you're going to. Like, support them, like bring them along with you for the ride.
Amen.
Yeah.
I love that so
much. It's been life-changing for me. So I try to be conscious of, when I see someone doing something awesome, send them a DM, like send them a text, or like shout them out. Even if, it doesn't matter how many followers you have or what sort of like influence you have, you're going to make somebody feel good by doing that.
100%. I can't agree more. So my last question for you is, although you kind of hit it on that one, but is there any advice that you have for women out there in regard to whether they're building a company or debating starting one, since you had an amazing job and you decided to leave and, take the plunge, as they say. So is there any advice along those lines that you have?
Sure. I think build your tribe, build your community, so that when you do take the leap or take the plunge, you have an emotional, mental, spiritual support system. Obviously, like making sure that you have savings and whatnot, like that's one thing, but I would say having the support of the people around you, but like, don't build it with the intention of, I'm going to need you one day, but just always be actively be like cultivating your own little personal community and relationships. So that when you do go to take that leap, they're there to support you and catch you and push you forward and encourage you. What else? One thing that I'm actively trying to do is create more routine for myself. We're a distributed team, so working like remotely or from different places, I've found that like living and working in the same place, starting a business, is not conducive to productivity. This isn't particular to women. Sorry, it's just the first thing that.
No, that's fine. It's helpful to all humans.
So like creating routine, which I'm still trying to do, and move locations to be more productive. That's in my experience. And the question was advice for women, right? In starting a business. Yeah, I think just like lean on your tribe, lean on your community, ask for help.
Oh my God, yes.
Ask for help. Like this, I hope this comes up in every conversation and interview that you do, because it needs to be like driven home. It needs to be like on billboards.
Yeah.
When I was considering leaving my job again, which was not an easy decision to make, another very like emotional thing for me, I sent an email to like 10 people that I really trusted. And I was like, listen, this is what I'm struggling with. This is what I'm thinking about doing. And I actually asked, to kind of bring it full circle, I was like, if you see something in me, or like you see an opportunity for me, like please tell me, because I was so confused. I was so lost. Like my own little personal board of advisors, like everyone had an opinion about what I should do and how I should do it. And it was just too much. So I asked for help. I needed more guidance. And when I asked for that help, the way that people showed up for me was crazy, 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 crazy. Yeah.
Oh,
So
so that's beautiful. Fuck yeah, ask for help. I love that. I love that. Thank you so much. How can people find you?
yeah, my email is Morgan, Morgan at Bax, BAX.co. It's Business Asset Exchange, BAX.co. I'm on Twitter, Morgan Brady, and Raise with Bax on Twitter, and our website is bax.co. Yeah, check us out. Let us know if we can be of help.
Awesome. All right. I'm going to